So what does the future hold for educators dealing with extreme heat events? Well, we know that education is affected when the temperature exceeds about 30 degrees centigrade. That's about 86 degrees Fahrenheit. As it gets hotter, so people find it harder to concentrate, to acquire knowledge, and also they find it harder to perform in exams. The hotter it gets and the longer the duration of the heat period, the worse those effects. Now, to explore this in a bit more detail, we've mapped all the locations of schools in the US onto our mapping platform. And I'm going to show you a bit about the data that we've got underlying that and just discuss some of the implications. So what you see on the map is a lot of bubbles overlaying North America. These bubbles, the size of the bubble just really indicates the number of schools within that location. As I zoom in, you'll see that they change size and color. And I'm going to zoom into a specific school to show you some of the details that we have for that. Now, here's a school located north of Houston, Texas. And you can see the location on the left, on the map on the left, and on the right you can see some graphs. First graph here is the hottest day of the year, and these are approximate numbers that we might expect to happen into the future. These are trends rather than exact numbers, and what you'll see is that depending on the way in which climate change evolves, the hottest day of the year could be quite different. Now, the first scenario here that I'm showing you, this red graph or this red line, is what is expected to happen if we continue to expand the economy based on fossil fuel consumption, which produces a higher level of carbon dioxide. Under this scenario, we will reach about 800 parts per million CO2 in the atmosphere by around 2080. And that would result in temperatures exceeding 44 degrees as your maximum temperature in that location. If we transitioned to a low carbon economy, low energy, high energy efficiency, and high level of renewables or nuclear power, we could hold the maximum temperature at about 40 degrees. And currently the trajectory is somewhere in the middle, where we're achieving some transition, but not fully enough to prevent some warming. Now, the maximum temperature, hottest day of the year, is just one metric. It's also important to understand the frequency of heat waves or hot periods. What we're also seeing is that from 2040 onwards, if we had unconstrained continued emissions, we would expect those frequency to increase from about 2.5 events per year to about up to 7 events per year from 2050 onwards. And we would also expect the duration of heat waves to be longer. They're currently around often about a week to 2 weeks, and those might last upwards of a month within a further decade or 2 decades. So this is these are the results that show the impact on education could be very severe with unconstrained emissions, and the kind of adaptations that are likely to be needed would be better air conditioning within classrooms, not just in classes, but also in other areas within the school, such as libraries and communal areas. You also need to think about the shading and availability of cool spaces outdoors, such as the schoolyards, play areas, sports areas. And also need to bear in mind that many pupils might not come from areas or houses that have air conditioning, so they might actually find the school an area of respite from the heat at those times.